let's talk about a city where water isn't just a part of life, it's a constant, looming threat. We're talking about New Orleans, of course. And today, we're going to break down why dealing with water damage here is a challenge unlike anywhere else, one that's literally built into the city's foundation. So, let's dive in. This quote, well, it says it all, doesn't it? For anyone who owns property in the Big Easy, this is the reality they live with every single day. The threat isn't just some vague possibility, it's a certainty. It's never a question of if it's going to happen, it's only a question of when. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to look at the city itself. What is it about New Orleans that makes it so uniquely and dangerously vulnerable to water?
It's not just one thing. It's this dangerous cocktail of factors all working together. First, you've got the geography. The city literally sits in a bowl below sea level with the massive Mississippi River on one side and Lake Pontchartrain on the other. Then you add the aging infrastructure, drains that just can't keep up. On top of that, the air itself is an enemy. That famous high humidity means mold can explode in just a day or two. And below ground, the water table is so high it seeps right up. And the city's classic pier and beam homes, well, they can trap that moisture underneath, letting rot silently take hold. It's a true perfect storm.
Now, with all of that working against it, you think the only threat is some massive hurricane, right? Well, that's where it gets even trickier. The damage comes from all sides, from the absolute catastrophic to the surprisingly common. And this shows the two extremes perfectly. On one hand, you have the big public catastrophe we all see on the news, a hurricane storm surge. That floodwater is a toxic soup of chemicals, sewage, debris, just nasty stuff. But then you have the private disaster happening behind closed doors, a corroded old pipe in a historic home that finally gives way, pouring out hundreds of gallons in minutes. One is a massive force of nature, the other a hidden ticking time bomb. Both are absolutely devastating. And this is absolutely crucial. Not all water is the same. The pros have a classification system, and it's a big deal. Category 1 is clean water, say from a broken supply line. But Category 3? That's black water. Think sewage or that toxic floodwater we just talked about. Knowing the difference is everything because it determines the entire cleanup, what can be saved, what has to be thrown out, and the safety gear needed to protect everyone's health. All right, enough about the problem, let's talk solutions. Because when disaster does strike, there isn't just panic. There's a clear, methodical playbook the professionals use to bring order back from the chaos. It all boils down to these 3 phases. First up, emergency mitigation. This is basically triage, you got to stop the bleeding. That means finding the source, pumping out all the standing water, and ripping out anything that's soaked beyond saving. Next comes structural drawing, and that's a whole science we'll get into in a second. And then only when the structure is verified to be 100% dry and stable does the final reconstruction begin. It's a deliberate path out of the mess. And look, this playbook isn't just a suggestion someone came up with. It's a science-backed standard governed by an organization called the IICRC. That certification is a homeowner's guarantee that the people doing the work are following proven, tested protocols. It means you're getting a real, long-term solution, not just a quick patch-up job. Okay, let's zoom in on that second phase, because this is where things get really fascinating. Getting a building properly dry, especially somewhere as humid as New Orleans, is about way more than just pointing a few fans at a wet wall. And that brings us to the single most important question in this whole process. I mean, a wall can look dry, it can feel dry to the touch, but how do you know for sure? How do you know moisture isn't still trapped deep inside, just waiting to become a hidden mold factory? The answer is data. Professionals don't guess, they measure. They use thermal imaging cameras to literally see hidden moisture pockets behind walls and under floors. They use calibrated moisture meters to get precise readings and track the drying progress day by day. They even use the science of how air holds water, psychrometrics, to place their industrial strength equipment in the most efficient spots. It's all guided by hard data. So with all this tech and all this science, how long does this drying phase take? Well, typically you're looking at 3 to 5 days. And I know that might seem like a long time, but this is one of those things you absolutely cannot rush. Rushing it just means leaving hidden moisture behind, and that's a guarantee of much bigger problems down the road. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most urgent point of all. From the very second the water gets in, a clock starts ticking. It is, quite literally, a race against time. If you remember one thing from all of this, please make it this number: 24 to 48 hours. In the warm, humid climate of New Orleans, that's it. That's the window you have before mold can start to colonize. After 2 days, a water problem starts to become a serious and seriously expensive mold problem. So here's the bottom line. Acting fast isn't just a good idea, it's the only idea. It physically stops the water from spreading deeper. It's your best defense against a costly mold infestation. And at the end of the day, it protects the value of what's probably your single biggest investment. In a water emergency, every single minute you wait, the damage gets worse and the repair bill gets bigger. So we'll leave you with this final thought. Just imagine, for a second, a pipe bursts in your home. Right now, water is pouring out. After hearing all this, do you know exactly what your first move should be? Because knowing the answer to that question, well, that can make all the difference in the world.